In one of my recent videos, I discussed the TF2 Bubble, a phenomenon where YouTubers who start off making content about Team Fortress 2 have a hard time shifting their channel toward any other topic. More specifically, I went over how 4 different creators managed to overcome this challenge and concluded that TF2's infamous content trap wasn't nearly as real as people made it out to be. There are many interesting responses to this video, ranging from high praise to harsh criticism. But there was one comment I saw more than any other, a phrase that echoed over and over again as I scrolled through everyone's responses. Where is FUNKe? For those unaware, FUNKe was once a prominent TF2ber, known for making some of the most prolific and well-edited videos the community had ever seen. However, as with the other 4 creators I discussed, he eventually dropped TF2 completely in favor of branching out into other avenues. Aside from Jerma, FUNKe is probably the most well-known creator in the TF2 community to make this shift in content. So why wasn't he in the original video? Well, it might surprise you to hear this, but I don't actually think FUNKe was ever trapped in the TF2 bubble. FUNKe's situation is actually very different from Soundsmith, Star, rtgame, and even Jerma. While all of these creators, to some extent, struggled to break out of the bubble's translucent walls, the shift FUNKe made away from TF2 content was so seamless, so perfect, that I don't believe it's accurate to say that he was ever stuck in TF2's content trap. I believe FUNKe is the only TF2 creator to avoid the bubble entirely. He never had to escape, because he was never trapped in the first place. But how? How did FUNKe avoid even approaching the pitfall that snared so many creators before and since? Well, in today's story, I'm going to analyze FUNKe's journey and explain how he became the first ever creator to transcend the TF2 bubble. FUNKe's start on YouTube wasn't too dissimilar from many of his peers. In fact, it was painfully ordinary. On November 2nd, 2013, FUNKe would upload his very first video, a showcase of a bunch of TF2's unused taunts that had been found in the game's files. The majority of these animations were later used in future TF2 updates, something that FUNKe was made extremely aware of by the comment section. Aside from this tongue-in-cheek aggression, there isn't much this initial video forecasts about FUNKe's future content. In contrast to much of his later work, this is a video you'd probably see once in your feed and never think of again, not realizing that it was the start to one of the most impressive YouTube channels of all time. Like I said, this video is painfully ordinary. But it wouldn't stay that way. His next few videos were much more emblematic of the content he would create later in his career. More specifically, there are 2 important aspects of FUNKe's early content that would impact his future work. The first one is that FUNKe had an obvious affinity for animation, and would regularly use his skill with Source Filmmaker to make shorts and thumbnails for his channel. This focus on animation would be something that would have a major ripple effect on these videos for years to come. The second important part of these early videos is a bit less obvious. You see, there are a lot of reasons why TF2 works so well for YouTube videos, such as its depth, visual appeal, and its community. But that's something that a lot of games have, and yet none of these titles are nearly as successful as Team Fortress 2 is when it comes to content creation. So what specifically makes TF2 such a perfect springboard for content creators? Well, this game, much like many others to be popular on YouTube, offers something that is very difficult to replicate. TF2 is a game whose popularity thrives off of its spontaneity. From its cosmetics to its characters and even its community, the Team Fortress 2 brand has been built on the back of the game's naturally varied and chaotic nature. This spontaneity tends to make every play session feel unique, and that uniqueness breeds creativity, leading to the content boom that Team Fortress 2 has maintained on YouTube for the past decade. This game has such a wide spectrum of players and potential interactions that something like an unusual trade request or a strange server regular can garner enough attention for a full-length video all on its own. It's a piece of Team Fortress 2 that people often gloss over, but the unrestricted, almost anarchical nature that the game has is one of the major reasons it's had so much staying power in the ever-changing landscape of YouTube. And this aspect of TF2 would be heavily utilized by FUNKe as he continued his content creation journey throughout 2015.
I wonder how good it is in game, how noticeable that quack thing it does. Okay, so the plan is we're gonna get a kill, and then we're gonna celebrate by using that duck jerma. I just random critted with a weapon that doesn't random crit. Just rush it, just completely bomb rush this thing. It's not gonna be able to hold. Well done, boys. I looked at the kill feed and I'm like, wow, someone just got a major kill. I may be drunk, but you don't have to be sober. Stop charging, everyone's dying. To know how to play engineer on Dust Bowl, okay?
FUNKe's ability to bounce off of TF2's randomness made him incredibly entertaining, and allowed him to quickly garner a fanbase within the TF2 community. His videos were, in many ways, a continuation of what Star had built his career off of in years past. Quick, bite-sized tidbits of TF2 content for viewers to easily digest as they went throughout their day.
It'll be like, oh look, I'm an actual dumbass pyro, I'm gonna run straight at you. Okay, no. Normal pyros do that, so no one's gonna look back once I walk through them. Except for maybe that one demo man who religiously looked back.
But despite how entertaining many of these videos were, they weren't exactly unique in the sphere of TF2 content on YouTube. Basically every TF2ber since Jerma has made commentary videos, since they're easy to produce and have shown the potential to do incredibly well. The cutting-edge, creatively driven style that FUNKe is known for today wasn't really there at this point. Any onlooker would have likely called FUNKe a flash in the pan, just another star who'd burn out, much like the other one. But with FUNKe, there was something different. As FUNKe's videos progressed throughout 2015 and into 2016, there was a gradual evolution in FUNKe's editing style and presentation. While Star complained that TF2 live commentaries were too restrictive,
eventually Team Fortress 2 live commentaries became shallow and disappointing and unfulfilling. I just didn't want to do it anymore. There's nothing there. I could be so much more.
FUNKe was attempting to find ways to expand the format into something more. He was gradually adding more and more elements to spice up his style, testing new grounds in a format that most saw as stale and stagnated. Team Fortress 2 seemed to inspire something within FUNKe. It was a game built off of passion, and had passed on that passion to many people who'd seek to create something from its unique blueprint. FUNKe was no different. With every new upload, FUNKe would mold TF2 into a new, interesting video idea that no one had really seen before, and added his signature flair and sense of humor on top of it. For FUNKe, Team Fortress 2 wasn't a topic he depended on for views and growth. It was his muse, the pool of inspiration that pushed him to keep improving with video after video. He wasn't the only person to be experimenting with a more complex format, as YouTubers like Uncle Dane were also rising in popularity with a similar style. But there was something different and eye-catching about the way in which FUNKe would mix his editing and gameplay together. Slowly but surely, FUNKe was finding his footing, and he ended off 2016 with the biggest step he had taken in his content creating journey, with one single video. This video, entitled TF2's Problematic Learning Curve, marked a stark and crucial turning point in FUNKe's career. This date, December 15th, 2016, was the moment when FUNKe stopped making videos about Team Fortress 2. That statement may surprise you, given the title of the video in question, but it's true. The focus of this video's subject matter had been broadened to the point where the content could engage anyone, regardless of whether or not they had played TF2 before. The draw of the video had been shifted from TF2 itself to FUNKe and his opinions on game design as a whole, and this shift offered him a way to engage his audience with almost any topic he wanted, without having to worry about the imaginary TF2 bubble getting in the way. There wasn't any build-up, any conflict with his audience, not a single announcement made about his shift in style. He just sat down and created content that was entirely separate from anything else on YouTube. So despite the title and overall subject, do not get this confused. This is not a Team Fortress 2 video. You can find those everywhere on YouTube. This was a FUNKe video, and you weren't going to see anything like it anywhere else. This style was immediately successful for FUNKe, and led to many of his most well-known and renowned videos. TF2's State of Specialists and Death of an Art Style both had such a strong effect on the TF2 community that the arguments and issues that they bring up are still discussed and debated to this very day. And this success didn't make FUNKe complacent with his content either. as FUNKe's skill with animation and editing would continue to become more integrated with his content. He'd start to add entire animated segments to his videos, similar to the styles of Sequelitis and Braindump. It seemed like with every new video, FUNKe would add some extra element of quality to his content that helped it stand out more and more, creating this unique blend of influences that could only be found on his channel. Of course, this elevated amount of effort meant that FUNKe's uploads became more and more infrequent as time went on, but that wasn't something that hindered his reputation at all. It was obvious with the amount of effort that went into each video, these were going to take a while to complete. As 2017 transitioned into 2018, FUNKe's views on each individual video were climbing higher and higher, and each video was shared far and wide as an example of what peak YouTube content could be like. By the time FUNKe released his final TF2 video in August 2018, he had already reached such a high level of quality that it wasn't even seen as an issue when he moved on to other things. It didn't matter that he wasn't making TF2 content anymore, because that wasn't what his audience were there for. They were there for FUNKe videos, and he could do nothing more than just give the people what they wanted. At a certain point, it seemed like FUNKe had reached the pinnacle of what his channel would accomplish, at least from a video making perspective. The presentation had become so refined and unique that it didn't appear like there was much room for improvement. Perhaps FUNKe was finally stagnating, reaching that point that every creator makes where they find their style and get comfortable with it, not looking to push themselves too hard. But when some people reach that point of stagnation, they simply just can't accept it. They have to dig deep and find that muse that made them start creating in the first place. That pool of inspiration they can always count on to push their boundaries past the limits. For FUNKe, that inspiration was none other than Team Fortress 2.
My name's FUNKe.
This video was a cornerstone for FUNKe, yet another bump in the quality of his videos. Whereas his videos would only feature partially animated skits before, now they'd basically be episodes of a cartoon where the host talks about video games or whatever else is on his mind. The avatar FUNKe created would even interact with the environment of the video itself in unique ways, offering a new freedom in the ways that FUNKe could present his ideas. All of this improvement for a video where he discusses what he loves about his favorite game. It was as if the passion that TF2 had provided years ago had resurged, and given FUNKe a new wind, a renewed motivation to push himself and make his content somehow even better than before. I Miss Team Fortress 2 was what cemented FUNKe as one of the most high-quality YouTubers on the platform, up there with Vsauce and Lemino as creators that are unequivocally regarded as some of the best on the entire site. From this point onward, FUNKe would continue to deliver banger video after banger video. It didn't even really matter what he was talking about anymore. The quality alone made every video worth watching. Whether it was concept albums, hypothetical game ideas, or even discussing other artists, FUNKe had perfected a format that he could use to engage an audience in whatever topic he wanted. That's a feat that deserves praise in and of itself. Unfortunately, FUNKe's last video was released over a year ago at the time of me writing this, marking a potential end to his journey as a YouTuber. Looking back, we can see just how extraordinary his progression has been. The TF2 Bubble is a trap that's created by the relationship a creator has with their audience, and the conflict that comes when a YouTuber doesn't want to give their audience what they want. This is the struggle that has brought down entire channels, and has caused creators to lash out at their audience as if they're in the wrong for wanting the content they subscribed for. The reality of the situation is that YouTube is entirely about giving an audience what they want, and every creator is, to some extent, trapped in their own unique bubble. On some level, everyone must appeal to their audience in some way. But FUNKe's story shows the path less taken. It's the path that creators like Egoraptor, Wendigoon, and Emperor Lemon have gone down, tapping into a unique style or presentation that can't really be found anywhere else. This is the ideal state a YouTuber can achieve, having an audience that goes to you for who you are, rather than what you talk about. This is the path that creates the YouTubers that end up being the most influential, and FUNKe is no exception. There are many other popular channels that show heavy inspiration from FUNKe, with many of them being far outside the TF2 sphere and sometimes even gaming altogether. If FUNKe hadn't chosen to break his artistic ceiling time and time again, Many of these channels likely wouldn't exist. In the same way that FUNKe once used Team Fortress 2 as his muse, other creators are now looking at FUNKe's work for inspiration, a statement that can't really be said about many other YouTubers. Just another one of many ways in which FUNKe is truly one of a kind.